The FBI Cyber Division is a Federal Bureau of Investigation division with the sole purpose to prosecute internet crimes such as cyber-based terrorism, espionage, and major cyber fraud. Today on Truly Trending, we bring you true events of a modern-day Catch Me If You Can that had an interesting twist. In this true tale, truth is stranger than fiction. So go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more interesting videos just like this one. In this true tale, our main character is not of the likes of a homicidal vigilante, but more of an internet Robin Hood, with none of Little John's merry men, nor a refuge like Lockwood Forest. Imagine being raised in the stone-cold lands of a 1,000-year-old city called Zhytomyr, just 2 hours from Kyiv in Ukraine, during the post-Soviet era, where the Russian mobs reigned supreme over states. In these harsh conditions, Popov grew up with an acute knack for computer programs, which only boosted tremendously at the age of 15 when he got his hands on a clunky Ukraine-made IBM XT clone called a Piosk I. This could be considered the first stepping stone to one of the most nightmarish threats to the FBI's main task to protect the United States from foreign and domestic threats. Aside from being a computer whiz, Popov had a talent for managing and manipulating people with gift for language, so his schemes led him to scamming hundreds of thousands of dollars by cashing out stolen credit card numbers and using English language as flawlessly as a natural born to cipher fraudulent funds. But when the US-based companies caught wind of the cyber threat from Eastern Europe, Popov adjusted his weaponry. So in 2001, when Ukraine and Russian hackers got in deep with an underground website known as Carter Planet, Popov was a major player in the transactions of hacked credit card numbers, passwords, bank accounts, and even identities. The website was even so interactive that it featured paid advertising, an eBay-like review system, and an organized message board. This was the epitome of the black market where anyone could get online and buy all the source material needed to hide one's identity and commit massive fraud, or even worse, massive homicide, and thousands registered. Of course, the mobsters caught wind of Popov's success and began the typical mobster demands. They began the surveillance and the threats with muscle-bound henchmen and weapons of all sorts. Since Popov was forced by the mob, he thought it a good idea to adopt one of their tactics, but with a non-violent approach. Popov and his team devised an online extortion scam where he and his crew would hack a company, have their way with it, then call the company and offer their protection protocols for a fat amount of cash. Popov was becoming a security consultant, but actually, he was digitalizing mafia tactics on the World Wide Web. In the year 2000, Popov and his team cleaned up. They cracked eMoney, which was an electronic payment provider based in Washington, D.C. Plus, they stole credit card data on 38,000 customers. And the spree continued as they hit Western Union's website for 16,000 customers, addresses, passwords, and credit cards. And just like the Hegelian dialectic of problem, reaction, and solution, Popov would soon contact the victim of his cyber attack and offer the solvent. Then it was pure pay dirt cleaning up his own mess for consulting fees that ranged from $50,000 to $500,000. However, Western Union went public, which undermined Popov's scheme. Then a second major blow came when the e-commerce aligned with the FBI to fish out the hacker. And Popov, the Eastern European cyber gang involuntary member, was between a rock and a hard place. On one hand, he could continue being on the FBI's most wanted list and make millions serving the mafioso Russian oligarchies. Or he could surrender to the land of the free where they would probably hire him. Popov opted for the Operation Paperclip Hail Mary with the FBI Cybercrime Division. And in January 2001, Maxim Igor Popov of Ukraine walked through the doors of the United States Embassy in London, a 20-year-old genius hacker submitting himself for justice and a dream. His cyber pirate attacks that raided on US companies and cleaned them out with extortion and fraud even set off a wave of a new Cold War between the US and the organized crime syndicate that ran the Soviet bloc. Popov expected the FBI negotiations of his surrender to entail the terms of him being an asset to the FBI and later starting his own legal internet business. But the FBI did not negotiate, so when Popov and his FBI escort landed on the TWA flight to US, Uncle Sam denied his decent salary and his asset status to the status of a mere criminal informant. He was placed in isolation rooms and encountered by federal prosecutors hungering in on a take-it-or-leave-it deal. Their ultimatum was simple: adhere to their requirements as an informant, or he'd work tirelessly to lure and entrap his old mates, or be locked in federal prison for life. In a lose-lose situation, Popov was able to play the role he was given and led the FBI along while never actually intending to snitch on his friends. He was a cyber mole for the FBI, but he was no rat. To protect his friends, he sent out esoteric language warning them, which took the FBI 3 months to realize and decode. The FBI quickly locked him in a cage far away from computers, and prosecutors from around the country lined up to have their pounds of flesh from Popov, until FBI agent Ernest E.J. Hilbert saw the potential of having an asset who was a bona fide cyber thief with the ability to speak Russian, infiltrate the underground chat room boards, forge relationships, and feed the information directly to the FBI. This time, E.J. would offer Popov the expectations he previously expected, where he wouldn't have to hunt his friends. His target was now strangers whom he owed no loyalty, and Popov agreed. In 2002, FBI agent Hilbert and Popov began real-life Mission Impossible missions, where they used connections and camera tricks to fully trap other cyber thieves. The operation was called Ant City, and their first target was the old Eastern European cyber black market, Carter Planet. Under Operation Ant City, the FBI and their new asset was able to prevent the identity fraud of 8 million people. Agent Hilbert then arranged for the FBI to rent Popov an apartment near the beach and pay him a $1,000 a month allowance to prolong the Ant City operation. However, Popov's environment wasn't suitable for him, and he asked to return to Ukraine. A judge granted Popov's request, and Hilbert sent him off, probably knowing that he would never see him again, even though the judge commissioned Popov to return to the States to fulfill his duties with the Ant City. Although Popov didn't return to the States, he continued being an asset for Agent Hilbert, leading to investigation in the X.25 cyber gang. And it seems that Popov was truly a Robin Hood hacker, as now there are talks that he was one of the main sources behind the hacker or hacktivist group called Anonymous. This true story will only get better. Leave your comments down below and ring the notification bell for more. Like, share, and subscribe with us.